There's a moment every man feels but rarely understands. That moment when a woman realizes she's lost you. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not a scene from a movie. It's a shift so quiet, so subtle, so unsettling, that it can shake her more than any argument, any breakup speech, or any goodbye. And if you've ever wondered what happens inside a woman's mind when she senses you slipping away, when she feels you pulling back with a strength she can't negotiate with, I need you to hear this carefully, because what she shows you is never what she truly feels. A woman can ignore your messages, act cold, act distracted, and pretend she doesn't care, right up until she realizes the power dynamic has changed, right up until she senses that you're no longer fighting for her attention, right up until she feels the one thing she never expected, the absence of your energy, and that is the moment her psychology flips. Not because you punished her, not because you played games, but because she suddenly feels what you used to feel: uncertainty. Men don't talk about this. Women never admit it. But attraction isn't built on comfort. It's built on emotional gravity. And when you stop chasing her, when your world stops revolving around her mood, her replies, her distance, she starts feeling that gravity shift. She starts noticing the silence she used to ignore. She replays old conversations and searches for signs she missed. She wonders when exactly your voice stopped sounding eager. She wonders why you don't ask the same questions, why you don't react the same way, why your presence feels lighter. You want the truth most men never hear? When a woman knows she's lost you, her first reaction is not sadness, it's confusion. Confusion hits her harder than heartbreak, because confusion means she lost her grip, her influence, her read on you. And when she can't read you anymore, the emotional script she relied on breaks. She starts testing you in subtle ways. You'll notice she watches you more carefully, but pretends she's uninterested. She gives short replies but expects you to chase. She pulls back slightly just to see if you'll lean forward. She posts something vaguely emotional online, not for the world, but for you. She'll act like she's fine, but every move becomes a measurement. Does he still want me? Does he still care? Did he replace me already? And when she doesn't get the reaction she expects, anxiety begins. Quiet anxiety, the kind she hides behind confidence, the kind she masks with humor, the kind she buries under "I'm busy." But inside, she feels something she never planned on: the possibility of losing a man she thought would always be there. This is the moment she starts remembering things she never appreciated before: your stability, your loyalty, your consistency, your softness, your masculine presence. The things she once took for granted now feel rare. The things she believed she could find again suddenly seem harder to replace. And that's when the fear comes, not fear of being alone, fear of losing someone who actually saw her, cared for her, and understood her in ways the world didn't. But here's what matters most. None of this happens because you became cold, distant, or manipulative. It happens because you finally stopped overgiving. You stopped making her your center. You stopped bleeding effort into someone who wasn't reciprocating it. You stopped being the man who waits and became the man who chooses. And whether she admits it or not, she feels that shift instantly. A woman knows when a man emotionally detaches. She feels it the way you feel temperature drop on your skin. You don't have to say it. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to prove anything. Your silence speaks for you. Your lack of urgency is a message all on its own. Your peace becomes the thing she can't access anymore, and that is what changes her behavior. If you've ever sensed a woman acting strange, acting guarded, acting overly confident, or overly passive, and you couldn't understand why, remember this: a woman's calmness often hides her panic, and when she knows she's losing you, the panic begins long before she ever shows it. There's something you need to understand about the way women process loss. It doesn't hit them all at once. It comes in waves, each one stronger than the last, and the first wave never looks like pain. It looks like pride. When she knows she's losing you, the instinctive reaction is to protect her ego, not her heart. She'll act unfazed, unbothered, untouched by the distance growing between you, but inside, the cracks have already started forming, and she hopes you don't notice. She'll act like she's the one who's in control. She'll mirror your silence. She'll match your distance. She'll pretend she's too busy, too entertained, too surrounded by options to care that you're slipping away. This isn't because she doesn't care. It's because she cares too much, and caring first feels like losing. In her mind, the one who admits the hurt loses the power. So she'll smile, laugh, talk to people, distract herself, anything to stop her mind from returning to the question that keeps growing louder. Why isn't he trying anymore? Women feel emotional shifts deeply, even when they pretend not to. And the moment she senses your energy moving inward, the moment she realizes you're no longer orbiting her, her mind starts searching for explanations. She'll wonder if she pushed too far, if she disrespected you one too many times, if she took your patience and misunderstood it as permanence. She'll ask herself why your tone changed, why your messages are shorter, why your interest feels neutral instead of eager. She becomes hyper-aware, scanning every detail of your behavior for signs she missed. And this is where something surprising happens. She starts replaying every version of you she overlooked. Women don't miss you at your highest or your most confident. They miss the small, subtle things, the warmth in your voice when you cared, the consistency in your effort, the way you listened without making her feel judged, the way you were there when she didn't even have to ask. These are the things she thought she could replace. But in the silence, she realizes she can't. Men make a mistake in thinking women only miss you when you leave physically. That's not true. Women miss you the most when your spirit leaves before your body does. When your eyes stop lighting up at her messages, when your attention isn't immediate, when your emotional presence fades, she feels that loss long before you walk away. And that's when the second wave hits. The second wave is denial mixed with vulnerability. She starts telling herself stories to protect her pride. He's just busy. He's just tired. He'll come around. But those stories fall apart when she sees no change in your behavior, when you no longer react to her moods, when you don't chase after her breadcrumbs, when you don't reward her minimal effort. That's when she starts feeling something she doesn't want to admit: regret. Regret is a powerful emotion for a woman because it forces her to acknowledge what she contributed to losing you. She'll think about moments she dismissed your feelings, times she took advantage of your patience, times she acted colder than she felt, just to keep the upper hand. She'll remember the way you tried, the way you showed up, the way you cared, and she'll feel the weight of how lightly she treated it. But here's what's hidden beneath all of this. A woman's fear of losing a man doesn't come from losing the attention. It comes from losing the man who made her feel safe, desired, understood. You became her emotional anchor, even if she never said it. And when an anchor is gone, the drift begins. That drift terrifies her more than she lets on. And yet, despite the confusion, the regret, the fear quietly blooming inside her, she still won't reach out, not yet, because the final wave, the one that breaks her pride, hasn't arrived. And when it does, everything changes. By now, the subtle panic has fully arrived. She can no longer ignore the void your absence has created. She notices the quiet moments, the ones that used to feel empty, but now feel loaded with memory and emotion. She notices your laughter in the past echoing in her mind, the way your presence made ordinary days feel extraordinary. And she starts to feel something she rarely admits even to herself: a deep, gnawing regret. This stage is the quietest, yet the most revealing. Men often mistake her outward composure for indifference, but inside, her mind is racing. She asks herself questions she never considered when she had your attention. Why didn't I appreciate him more? Why did I test him instead of trusting him? Could I ever find someone who makes me feel this way again? These questions keep her awake, turn casual moments into reflections, and make her reconsider the past with unflinching honesty. Her actions begin to shift, but subtly. She doesn't flood your inbox, she doesn't beg or plead, she doesn't act out of desperation. Instead, she begins small, deliberate moves designed to gauge your state without revealing hers. a fleeting glance, a carefully timed comment, a story that reminds you of shared memories. She's testing, measuring, observing, all while maintaining the illusion of control. And this is where the psychology becomes fascinating, because every little reaction she gets acts as feedback, shaping her next attempt, making her realize how much she truly valued you. Here's the truth that men rarely understand. Her fear of losing you isn't just about attachment, it's about identity. You became part of her life's equation. You weren't just someone she cared for, you were someone who made her feel secure, seen, and alive. When she senses you slipping, that part of her identity feels threatened. She isn't just worried about losing a man, she's worried about losing the version of herself that existed with you. And that realization hits harder than rejection ever could. She'll oscillate between pride and vulnerability, often in the same day. She'll appear confident, independent, untouchable, only to retreat moments later into reflection and quiet longing. And each time she experiences that oscillation, she becomes more aware of what she actually stands to lose. The more she sees your calm, collected self, the more she realizes she no longer holds the emotional leverage she once had. And that realization is what triggers her desire to reclaim the connection, not from manipulation, but from genuine recognition of what she's lost. Yet, this stage is also where most men fail to notice the signs. They see the minor gestures, the brief attention, the small smiles, and they assume everything is fine. They underestimate how much is happening beneath the surface. Her mind is a storm of memories, what-ifs, and realizations. She's rewriting the story she once controlled, imagining a life in which you were never gone, and fearing the permanence of your absence. This is when she begins subtle reflection on her actions. She replays moments where she tested your patience, moments where she took your kindness for granted, moments she could have leaned in instead of pulling away. She's measuring each memory against the backdrop of your absence, and the weight of those memories grows heavier with every passing day. The realization that she may have permanently shifted your attention is something she cannot ignore. It wakes her up, makes her restless, and forces her to confront feelings she has long buried. And here's the paradox. The closer she comes to admitting it to herself, the more cautious she becomes. She doesn't want to look desperate. She doesn't want to appear weak. She doesn't want to hand back the power she lost. So she hides it, masks it, and waits for the right moment to test if you still care, if you're still invested, if you're still the man she underestimated until now, and when she finally realizes the depth of what she's lost, that's when true change begins. Her actions are no longer about games or testing boundaries. They are about reconciling what she wanted with what she actually has. She is no longer in control of the dynamic. You are. And that shift, subtle yet undeniable, is when she truly starts to understand the consequences of losing you. By now, she's past denial and regret, but she hasn't fully admitted it to herself or to anyone else. Pride keeps her from reaching out, from showing vulnerability, from admitting that she feels something she thought she could control, and this is where the real shift begins. When she realizes that losing you isn't hypothetical anymore. You're no longer just a presence she can take for granted. You are the absence she cannot ignore. Women process this absence in ways men rarely see. She starts noticing patterns she ignored when you were fully present. She recalls your consistency, the way you never flinched under her moods, the way you made time for her even when it wasn't convenient, the way you understood her without needing explanations. She remembers your laughter, your patience, your calm confidence, and the way you simply existed in a way that made her feel anchored. These aren't dramatic gestures. They're the subtleties that build attachment, and now, in your absence, they loom larger than ever. She will test herself, testing her emotions, to see if the feelings are real or just habit. She'll replay every conversation, scrutinize every memory, and ask herself if she really wants someone who stopped pursuing her, someone who finally chose himself over her. And as she does, a dangerous mix of longing and fear begins to settle in, because for the first time, she senses that she's not the one in control, you are. and that's an unfamiliar, unsettling territory for her. She may begin small gestures, a text at a late hour, a like on a post, a vague story designed to catch your eye. But these gestures are not yet full surrender. They're testing the waters, measuring your reaction, seeking reassurance that the man she knows still notices her. This is the tension men rarely recognize. You see her acting distant, and part of you wonders if she's over it, moving on. But behind every small signal lies a mind racing with what if, and if only. And here's the critical truth. When she realizes she's lost you, the way she acts is not purely about attraction. It's about a mirror of the emotional space you've created. Men underestimate the power of your absence. Your detachment is a message. Your silence is louder than words. Your peace becomes a force she cannot manipulate. And that realization terrifies her. Because for the first time, she can't predict your moves, can't control your emotions, and can't guarantee your return. That unpredictability triggers a primal response. She wants back in, but she also wants to protect her pride. This is the stage where patience becomes a weapon and awareness becomes her prison. She watches from afar, analyzing every cue, every reaction, every subtle shift in your presence or absence. She wonders if you are happier without her, if your life feels fuller, if your attention is truly elsewhere. She begins to compare herself to everyone around her, questioning her choices, wondering what she could have done differently, and in that comparison, she starts feeling the loss more acutely than she has at any point before. Yet despite the fear and the self-reflection, she still hesitates. Vulnerability is risky. Pride is protective. She won't admit openly that she misses you, because doing so feels like giving you power again. But the truth is written in her actions, even if not in words. She lingers where you linger. She notices where your attention goes. She tests whether the bond you shared is truly gone or simply dormant. And every reaction she receives or doesn't receive shapes her next move. A woman who knows she's losing you is not fragile. She's strategic. Every feeling is measured, every impulse calculated, every hesitation deliberate. But beneath the strategy lies an emotional storm. Anxiety mixes with desire, regret mixes with longing, fear mixes with curiosity, and that storm is the most honest reflection of what she feels, even if she refuses to say it aloud. This stage is the turning point. She can't deny it forever. Pride can delay action, confusion can cloud judgment, but the emotional gravity of losing you pulls her in ways she never anticipated. And this is when the lines between control and vulnerability blur. When she begins to understand what losing you really means and why she never wants to feel it again. Now comes the final stage, the stage where all the subtle shifts, quiet regrets, and hidden anxieties culminate. She has passed through denial, confusion, testing, and reflection. She has seen herself in the mirror of your absence and realized something she never expected. The man she once took for granted is no longer the one who waits, and that awareness hits harder than any argument or confrontation ever could. Her behavior at this stage becomes a mix of caution and intensity. She may reach out indirectly, a casual text, a shared memory, a laugh at an inside joke, but there's purpose behind every gesture. She is watching you, measuring your reaction, seeking clues about whether you still hold her in your world. And the truth is, her pride and fear are at war. She doesn't want to appear desperate, yet she cannot ignore the emotional gravity of losing you. That conflict shapes every subtle movement she makes. This is where the psychology becomes fascinating. When a woman realizes she has lost a man who mattered, she begins to confront the consequences of her past choices. She remembers the small moments she dismissed, the patience she tested, the efforts she overlooked. She compares what she thought she had with what she actually lost. And this comparison, often internal and silent, creates an emotional storm that can't be faked. It's not about regret for the sake of feeling bad. It's about recognizing the value of something she underestimated, you. You might notice subtle attempts to reconnect, not dramatic declarations, not apologies shouted into the void. Instead, these are careful, almost strategic movements designed to gauge your state. She might ask a question that feels casual but carries weight, or engage in a conversation with hints of nostalgia. Every action is calculated, but underneath, it's deeply emotional. She is trying to feel the boundaries of what remains between you, testing whether the man she lost is still there, and if so, what it would take to reclaim that connection. At this point, her internal dialogue is relentless. She is asking herself questions she never asked when you were present. Did I take him for granted? Could I have treated him better? Did I push too hard or too far? She is scanning her past behavior and weighing it against your current absence. And as she does, she begins to feel something she rarely admits aloud. Fear. Fear of losing you permanently. Fear of realizing that she may not find another presence like yours. Fear that the emotional anchor she had is now gone. But here's the critical insight for men. The fear she feels is often stronger than her words suggest. She may appear composed, indifferent, or even overconfident. That is her shield. Her mind is constantly mapping scenarios, predicting your reactions, and replaying memories to understand what she lost. She may test your attention subtly, but make no mistake. Every measurement is informed by the realization that she cannot replace you easily. The value of what she lost becomes clearer than ever, and it drives every thought, every hesitation, every gesture. This is the final truth most men never fully grasp. When a woman knows she's lost you, she doesn't just miss you. She feels the absence of the man you were, the stability you provided, the patience you extended, the energy you gave. She realizes the emotional consequences of her actions and begins to face the reality that what she lost cannot be replicated. And in that realization, she experiences something rare, a respect and desire for the man who chose himself over her. So as a man, your silence, your calm, your self-respect, and your emotional independence are not empty gestures. They are the defining signals that shift her psychology. She begins to understand that the connection she once took for granted cannot be summoned back by manipulation or charm. It is your presence, your choice, and your peace that shapes her realization. And now, here's a personal question for you. Think about the last time a woman acted differently when she knew she might lose you. What would have happened if you had responded out of fear instead of calm confidence? Comment your answer below. Your insight might help another man see the truth tonight. Like this video if it hit deep, subscribe for more powerful truths about female psychology, relationships, and dating dynamics. Share this with a friend who needs to hear this tonight.